Hello, everyone. I appreciate you being with me, and I appreciate that we'll take a few minutes here and we'll go through some comments that I have, and then we'll pass along questions to the media in regard to the income tax, and then if you'll allow us to just break just a few minutes, and then we'll go right into our COVID briefing. But I didn't want to commingle the two, because I truly have said over and over and over that I think, with all in me, that the most important issue that this state has ever had in its entire existence in front of them is in front of us right now. And that's the personal income tax situation and the ability to get our state moving and get our state growing. And I'll get into all that in just one second. Before I go there, I want to just say just this, that through all this process, the one thing that is just not acceptable to me in any way is behavior that happened not long ago when the House viewed an issue one way, the Senate viewed the issue another way. They came into conference with one another, and what happened? A bunch of semi out of control. I mean, it's been told to me over and over and over. It mimicked the look of a mob in our state capitol. It mimicked the look of a mob. And then, well, you had a delegate, and possibly others, but a delegate, Joe Jeffries from Putnam County, I think, and he got up screaming obscenities like you can't imagine, honest to God, in our Capitol. I mean, a delegate. I mean, it is just unthinkable that we have gotten to that level. And so today, I am calling upon Speaker Hanshaw to require, not ask, require Delegate Jeffries to make a public apology to these senators, and that is Senator Trump, Senator Clemens, all of the senators, and Senator Pastor Stephen Baldwin. It is absolutely just vulgar. It is disrespecting the great House that we're in every way. It is comments that should have zero tolerance, and this man should either be kicked out of the House, period, or he should absolutely be told that he has to make a public apology to these great people, because that behavior is absolutely intolerable. That's all there is to it. It should be, absolutely never should we dip to that level. Now, these remarks, just came to me not long ago, but I understand now that one of the senators, Mike Wolfel, has spoken about this, but it is a shame. It is a crying shame. That's all there is to it. You've got people that can get out of control. You saw what happened with our nation's capital, and absolutely, that is absolutely, totally unacceptable. Just like this is unacceptable. Now, I've got lots of stuff today, and the primary, hands down, is the personal income tax. Now, I want to tell you the story, and I want to just listen. I want you to just listen and go back to piece by piece, because West Virginia, I love you, and I mean it. I love the great people of this state more than good sense. And there's no way on God's earth that I'm going to do anything but tell you the truth. Now, I met over and over and over with the leaders from the standpoint of our so-called supermajorities. And basically, we agreed. I mean, we didn't think about it. We agreed. It was even brought to my attention that, well, we'll run this on the House side, or we'll run this on the Senate side. Basically, what we all discussed and everything, and then I went to the state of the state, and I brought you an income tax repeal at the state of the state. Now, I'm going to tell you without any question whatsoever, one of these great bodies absolutely kept their word and their commitment in what we were doing. I will never forget until I die, Craig Blair sitting with me just a matter of a couple days ago and talking about the value of honor and truth, because I truly love it. And he absolutely does exactly the same. I congratulate the Senate in every way possible for what they've done. And what did we do? We worked together and we bent. And the House was absolutely always involved just as well. We bent. We absolutely worked together. We compromised. We absolutely know, without any doubt in all the world, the value of this personal income tax to the state and to our people in every way. Now, what's happened now is you have the governor of the state of West Virginia. Surely to God above, that's an important office. And you have the Senate of the great state of West Virginia, and surely to God above, that's an important body in this building. And both of us are in agreement, and now the bill is on the way or already been delivered to the House. And you know what the House is going to do? They're going to table it. They're not even going to vote on it. They're not going to vote on it because they're afraid to vote on it, because certain people will go on the record as saying stuff. They aren't even going to vote on the most important thing that this state has ever had in front of it. Now, I'm going to tell you, that's some really bad stuff. That's all there is to it. It's just plain rotten to the core. Now, yesterday, one of the items that was brought up by the Speaker, he said, well, the reason we're really going to table this is because, you know, we really don't understand and know the situation about the growth that you have in the bill of $80 million, of which our Revenue Department, Mark Mukow, who's been here for 500 years, says that's the most conservative number that there could possibly be. Did you know what we did? We went right up to the Senate and asked the Senate if they would concur. We'll take it out. We'll completely take it out. In other words, we won't put in anything for growth. And let's go back to the Speaker and see if we take that out, as he said that was their problem, we'll take it out. Just like before, weeks before, the Speaker said to me, I think our number one problem is the property tax. And we took it out. So we went back to the Speaker and we said, Mr. Speaker, we'll take the growth number completely out. And then you go ahead and run this. Well, I knew what the answer was going to be. I knew the answer would be this. And now I'm being ridiculous to make my point. No, we can't run it. No. Now, if you can have, we don't like it now because it's typed. But if we could have Thomas Jefferson come back to life and he could write this out longhand, maybe we'll consider it. Now, I'm being ridiculous to make my point. But really and truly, that's what we're dealing with here. That's the situation that's going on here. You have somebody spouting out vulgarities like you can't imagine, and it goes, and we accept it. I mean, why in the world hasn't this already been acted on? Why in the world do we let things like this go? Now, I want to read a couple things to you. When I started down the PIT path, here's the primary reasons. People are looking for a place to move and work remotely. West Virginia is a great place to work remotely. We are investing in broadband and roads right today. We have led the nation in our COVID response. People are realizing West Virginia is a safe, beautiful place to live. Now's our moment. Now's our moment. The people that are telling you that this proposal is too big of a change for West Virginia are the same very people who won their seats into office by promising that they would be the ones to bring you change and prosperity. Now just think. In 2014, the House of Delegates flipped to Republican control for the first time in more than 80 years. How did they do that? In the run-up to the election, many of those Republican candidates were saying just this: Democrats have been in control for over 80 years, and look where they've gotten us. We've lost jobs, population, money. It's time for things to change. Isn't that just what they said? Democrats have been in control for over 80 years, and look what they've gotten us. We've lost jobs, population, and money. Isn't it time for us to change? Elect me. Now, isn't that what was said over and over and over? And you know, I agree with that. I agree completely with that. But you know what's unfortunate? That is exactly what they're doing today. Isn't it time for us to change? We've lost jobs, we've lost population, and we've lost money. That's exactly the whole scenario all put together. Now, we do have to change, or we have to settle for what has been at play for decades and decades and decades. If I were a Republican, and if I were in the supermajority, and I truly am a Republican, but if I were in the supermajority, I'll be dogged if I would sit and say, we're not even going to take it up. We're not even taking it up. We want to stay right where we're at. We want to stay dead last in population growth and be that way forevermore. Now, they've also let the lobbyists and the special interests rule the roost. They have. That's all there is to it. We took out the beer, wine, and liquor. We took out the soda tax. Really and truly, the coal and the gas contribution is zero. Zero, and it could grow into something if things were phenomenally good. But like it or not like it, the special interest and the lobbyists with their money ruled the day again. And today, a lot of the reason we won't take it up is just that. This is the biggest chance our legislature has had to deliver on a promise of change. But now that moment is here, and they're shrinking to the occasion. But the Senate did not shrink, did it? The Senate spoke up. And the Senate spoke for the good of West Virginia. Again, I commend all those in the Senate, for all the great work that they did. They tried really hard. I tried really, really hard. Today is very disappointing. There's no question it's very disappointing. The other thing that I tried to do is just this. I got on board. Perspective, maybe not only who they are, but just think about this. The people on board Republicans through and through, past President Bill Cole, past President Mitch Carmichael, and the gubernatorial candidate that I ran against in the Republican primary, Woody Thrasher, all on board 1,000%. 1,000%. And we won't even take it up and vote on it. Now we've got a real disconnect, a major, major disconnect. Now one thing I want to clear up too is the householder bill. The householder bill that Eric Householder's been out saying that it's living proof. It's living proof that if we had to do rebates and everything, that this thing was going to hurt the poor and all that kind of stuff. Gosh, you know, it's just overwhelming to me. It's overwhelming in all kinds of ways. You know, Eric Householder's an intelligent man. He knows better than what he's saying. You know, without any question, this, by what we did, how in the world do you expect a family that is not paying an income tax, how do you expect them, no matter if you increased 1 cent on bubble gum, how do you expect them to be able to pay for that 1 cent on bubble gum if they're not paying an income tax and all you did was reduce their income tax? How do you expect them to do that? The only way we could do that is the rebate checks for the people, the low-income earners that were really struggling. That's what we did. Again, just look back at the householder deal. Look at the influence of lobbyists in his campaigns. Look at really and truly what is going on, and look at Secretary Dave Hardy's comment that in his plan, he continues to cut the poor and the services for our seniors and everybody, and who knows what else. But at the end of the day, the only way you can get there over 12 years, the only way you can get there is with absolute severe cuts all the way through. And at the end, the magnitude of the cuts totaled $3 billion. Absolutely, as you go, they just get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And at that time, you don't even have a government. For crying out loud, you don't have anything. Who knows? Are we going to just cut our seniors and throw them to the wayside? Are we going to cut the people that are struggling the most and just throw them away with all of our services to them? Are we going to cut into Medicaid? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? But we didn't have to do any of this. That's my very point. We did not have to do one bit of it. Now, I'm telling you again, I congratulate the Senate, and absolutely they worked hard because they know how good this could be for West Virginia. Now, I'm not going to quit. There's no way I'm going to quit. I'm not going to roll over. We made real progress with the Senate. You have 2/3 of the government down here saying this is what we ought to do, and the other third says we won't even vote. But 2/3 of the government down here believe wholeheartedly that this is what West Virginia should do. So, I think we've made real progress to have 2/3. We made real progress working together with one another. And so now, I'll go on the road. I'll go on the road, I'll go right to their neighborhoods, and I'll go absolutely every place I can go, and I will tell the people, and I will educate the people, and tell the people with all in me that this is what we lost. This is what you lost. West Virginia. West Virginia, just stay with me just 1 second. I do truly believe that if we continue to work, and we continue to be open, and I'll keep my door open 24/7, and absolutely I'll meet with any legislatures from the House, and I will meet with any of the delegates at any point in time. I'll go over, I'll try with all in me to dismiss misunderstandings or dismiss, or add to education, about what we're trying to do in West Virginia. And at some point in time down the road, if I can see that we have made that progress and we are in a position, then I will call a special session for us to come back on the PIT. You know, I am not going to back away. There's no possibility that I'm going to do that, and because it's just too important. Now, that's all there is to that. Now, let me just tell you real quickly just this. You know, and by what I mean by my road show, you know, last time around on the Roads to Prosperity, I went all over this state nonstop. I sat on a stool. I answered question after question after question. I educated the public, and absolutely, at the end of the day, I would hate to absolutely be a delegate that is standing on or sitting on their hands today. And the reason I would hate that is because when the people of this great state believe wholeheartedly that you cost them significant money in their pockets, you cost them absolutely significant pay raises in their pockets, I'd hate like crazy to stand on that. I can stand on that 1,000%, because without any question, we made every single person in this state cash positive. And nobody can argue that with me. Nobody can argue that. Now, with all of that, just think about it. In my scenario, now we adjusted it down a little bit, so this number's not going to be 100% correct, but in my scenario, every household in this state, as an average, every single household would have had an additional $1,483. Now just think about that. And what we've said is, nah, we're not even going to vote on it. It's not any good. It's not any good. Also, just think about this. Just think about the message that I said earlier. The world is looking at West Virginia as a place to maybe come to. They would have come. They would have come for sure. Schools would have gotten better. Absolutely, without any question, we would have been able to do more for roads. We would have been able to do more from the standpoint of raising your home value. We would absolutely have done more and more and more with job opportunity like you can't imagine. Absolutely, they would have come. Not only would you have had more money in your pocket, but there would have been more opportunity by the yin-yang. And not only that, there would be more and more prosperity come, and the bottom line is West Virginia would quit losing population and start growing population. Now, can I guarantee that beyond a doubt in the world? Well, I think I could. But I absolutely can't ever just guarantee anything ever. But I can tell you this, we've figured out how to lose. We've figured out how to absolutely lose. We've done it for 70 straight years. We have lost population in West Virginia. Now, as I said a minute ago, I'm not going to go away. I'm not going to back down. You know, because I absolutely believe with all in me, this is the single biggest and most important thing that this state has as an opportunity right now. Now, let me tell you, and you've got to either believe or not believe. If you believe in any way that I would be out trying to do something and it would hurt families of any level, then you're wrong. There's no way on God's earth I would do that. There's no way. You have been misinformed, and you have been misinformed by people that are absolutely on a mission from God to play some kind of silly politics. And silly was a really nice word. You know, again, I commend the Senate for being wise. You know, there's a reason why senators are elected to office for 4 years. They're elected to office for 4 years because of their wisdom and everything. And these great people, they decided that this is tremendously important. We work together over hours after hours after hours. I have tried, good gracious sakes of living, I have tried. I looked at Craig Blair 2 days ago and he said, I'm really tired. Really, really, really tired. You could tell he was. He's tried too. And I thank him. I thank all those that have stood up in every way and recognized just how important this is. It is so important. And so with that, I'll take questions now, and I appreciate it. And if I can't, if it's too technical and everything, I need Dave Hardy. I needed him here. If maybe somebody could ask him to come down.
All right, we'll go to questions from members of the media now. The first today from Brendan Tierney with WSAZ.
Good afternoon, Governor. Brendan Tierney with WSAZ News Channel 3 here. When the Senate finally got the most recent version that passed the chamber, it was only given to members about an hour before that session was held to actually vote on the bill. And one of the big concerns that was stated on the floor is that this is an issue that only Alaska has successfully repealed their income tax. It bankrupted the state of Kansas. So do you think you're just trying to push something through too fast, and that's why the House has decided to kind of hold off on things moving into the end of the session? And what are the biggest concerns that you think might be reached here that might find some sort of compromise by time midnight tomorrow night comes around when it comes to making sure small businesses and things like that are not hurt throughout this entire process?
Well, Brendan, and I don't know if you're being influenced by the broadcasters because you're scared to death that the advertising costs, your advertisers now will have to be included in the sales tax. And I don't know if you're influenced by that, but everything you say is there's just no foundation to it. There's no way on earth this could possibly do anything except significantly help small businesses. After you understand that you've got $1 billion that's going back out into the hands of the people, how in the world can it not do anything but help small businesses? If you don't do anything, without any question, and more people end up, the population continues to drop, what's going to happen to our small businesses? Doesn't that absolutely resonate? And from the standpoint of when it came out, we've been talking about this since the cows came home. The House has been talking about it. The Senate's been talking about it. We've been talking about it and talking about it and talking about it. And absolutely what we did in the Senate with the Senate and ourselves is we did just exactly what we should do. We went, we had a summit, we discussed everything, we answered questions, we had all kinds of conversation back and forth. Collaboratively, we came up with an agreement between myself and the Senate, and that's the bill that ran. And so that was an effort between the two of us, and then that bill, has gone over to the House. We've got days, and if the House were working on it and everything, but the House has just decided they're not even going to consider it. There's a heck of a lot of difference between the House saying, well, we need a little bit more time or this or that, versus, well, we're not even going to talk about it.
Thank you, Brendan. Next, we'll go to Junaid Dill with the AP.
Hi, Governor. I'm just wondering, does this close the door now on an income tax cut for this year? And do you have a plan to call a special session potentially? Thank you.
Well, it surely closes the door for now, and I heard the door slam really, really hard when the House said, we're not taking it up. We're not taking it up no matter what, and so I surely don't have a time frame to be able to bring this back to a special session. It'll probably take a little while, because I think what I need to do is a very, very extensive roadshow in which I am educating people, and hopefully that will have some impact on our delegates and everything to reasonably take a look at this and work with us from the Senate and myself side. But I'm telling you, if the thought or the mindset of our delegates is similar to the conduct and the profanity and the vile that went on the other day, they won't listen. And so, and if they don't listen and everything, and we don't really work together and try to educate ourselves together, you know, to try to come up with a plan that is great for West Virginia, then West Virginia will continue to lose population. Our small businesses will continue to be hurt. The lobbyists will continue, and the special interests that are out of state in every way will absolutely continue to rule the day, and shame on us.
All right, thank you, Junaid. Next to Mark Curtis with Next Star Media.
Good morning, or good afternoon, Governor, and everyone else. In terms of, in the interest of full disclosure, Governor, I am a member of the West Virginia Broadcasters Association. I'm just a rank and file member. I'm not on the board. I'm not in any decision-making capacity. But I do understand the association's argument, and it's about equity. The advertising tax does not tax newspaper advertising. It taxes radio and TV, and it also taxes the radio and TV website advertising within the state. However, it does not tax the big players that come into the state from elsewhere, Facebook, Google, Twitter, etc. And so I think the broadcasters have a question about the fairness and equity in this. Will you sit down with them and meet with their board members and discuss this? And is there any possibility it could be removed from the bill?
I'll sit down, absolutely. I mean, I would welcome it, Mark. You know, I'll sit down and talk with anyone, and we'll work through it, you know, in its entirety. You know, from the standpoint, you know, the Google or whatever people like that were out there, I had them in this, you know, from the standpoint of, but I keep going back to the exact same thing, Mark, and it's just this. And I appreciate you acknowledging, you know, that your station is a member of this. But I keep going back to just one thing. Mark, how do you expect to grow? How do you expect to have growth? Do you expect that maybe one of your competitors is going to die away, or you're going to try to rob business from him? You know, how do you expect growth? You know the population is going down every day, and as the population goes down every day, the amount of advertisers have to go down. They've got to go down. Now, you have a state that's flourishing right now and everything. I'm surely a big part of that. I don't want to ever say I am the part of it, because there's been a lot of great folks that have played great roles in that, you know, and I pass all the accolades, like I said, to the Senate and all the great people that have been around me. But how do you expect growth? I can guarantee you growth. I can guarantee it right here. I can guarantee it one way and one way alone. I'm going to put $1 billion out there in the hands of our people, and advertisers all across this state are going to clamor. They're going to work like crazy to try to get some of that money, and they're going to come to your station and put on TV ads. I can guarantee you growth just like that. You can stick your head in the sand? Absolutely, and good gracious. The amount of ads and of all things, you know, attacking Senator Tarr, I think that's just plain terrible. Just plain terrible. You want to attack somebody, attack me. I mean, for crying out loud, absolutely. You know, those ads that are running all over the place, again, because maybe you're not charging yourself for your ads, but if you are, you've probably spent $1 million in ads running all across our state by the lobbyists again, by the big out-of-state lobbyists. They're going to spend $1 million, $1 million, but you know what? They believe that that's going to return them millions and millions for years and years to come. It's a shame. It's a shame.
All right, thanks, Mark. Next to Kenny Bass with WCHS and Fox 11.
Governor, I'm wondering if you're surprised at the way this thing is coming down. You know, I watched your summit with the legislative leaders, and it felt like while you had a dialogue going with the Senate, that you and the House members were kind of talking at each other instead of to each other. I didn't see a whole lot of give and take. I saw a whole lot of give and give. So since that day, this has seemed like it would be the likely outcome of what was going to happen. So how surprised are you that we've arrived here, especially after your interactions at the summit?
I'm not surprised 1 ounce. I mean, honest to Pete, you know, I believe that I could have rolled in with suitcases of money to give to every single person in the state of West Virginia, and the House would say, nah, we don't want to do that. You know, it's just irresponsibility in my book, you know, and the only reason on the planet that we may have been talking at one another, I mean, Kenny, you know me really well, and I have begged and begged and begged. Just please tell me what you want to do. Tell me what you want to do. Oh, we're on board. We're on board. Governor, we're right with you. We're on board and everything. Now, the one thing, Governor, we don't really like is probably, I'm getting the most heartburn, and this was the speaker, I'm getting the most heartburn over the property tax. And I said directly to the speaker at the mansion, let's take it out. Take it completely out. And I did. I took it completely out. You know, and then, you know, Eric Householder comes over and he says, well, really and truly, Governor, you know, I'm having the most trouble with the tax on soda drinks and tobacco. Where's that coming from? That's coming from the lobbyists. That's coming from the lobbyists. The lobbyists that are paying for people's campaigns. They're paying for a reason. That's coming from the lobbyists. You know, look, Kenny, I've changed every way you could change. All I can say to the people is just this. From my standpoint, absolutely without any question, it's going to save me money to not do this. But from my standpoint, single most important thing in the state of West Virginia, hands down. Shortchanging the people, that's what we've done. We have shortchanged the people beyond belief. I mean, they don't even know it. But if I have my way in time, and it may take me a little while, they will know it. And when they know it, they're not going to be happy campers. They're the ones that vote, and they should be the ones with all the power.
All right, thanks, Kenny. Next to Charles Young with WV News.
Hi, this is Charles Young with WV News. Governor, I was wondering what you hope to accomplish by going back out on the road. You know, as you just said, we've been talking about this for several months. You know, I think we all understand your perspective on the issue and have a good understanding of all the nuances. What else is there to say about this issue?
The people still don't understand, Charles. Once the people really get this, I mean, everybody's busy. I mean, for crying out loud, you know, I spoke recently to a senator that viewed that terrible display up there in the hallways where the people were in conference. And they said, you know, I was really, really upset with that, and it was disgraceful and everything else under the sun, but gosh, we've been so busy. You know, well, that's just what happens. You know, today, it doesn't matter. I mean, society has turned in so many ways to, it doesn't really matter what's right and wrong. It matters on what we can get by with. And like it or not like it, but the people of West Virginia are busy. They're busy all the time. And they do not understand what has happened to them here. It is my job to educate them. It is really our legislature's job to educate them. That really is our job. But what we've done for political reasons, whatever it may be, we have hidden things. We have hidden things behind the curtain so that the people won't know, so that we can achieve our political goals and ambitions. That's no good. That's exactly what's happened. But Charles, I would do all in my power to educate them.
All right, thanks, Charles. Next to Todd Boucher with WTAP.
Well, first, I'd like to say hello to my fellow broadcasters. But my question, Governor, Mark Curtis discussed the situation with the broadcasters and the West Virginia Broadcasters Association. But I'd like to ask this. do you see this coming up before the legislature, maybe even next year, if there's no timetable involved with you're calling a special session?
Well, it's possible. I mean, anything and everything, I guess, is possible. But let me just ask. I asked a question to Mark. I'd ask this question back, to you, yourself, and all the broadcasters. It's just this: is again, how do you expect growth? How do you expect any level of growth? There was a real estate guy one time told me, he says, nobody's buying anything, and really and truly, we got to give you a card because I want to make sure you're not a real estate person, because all we're doing is running around trying to sell real estate to other real estate people. Well, I tried so hard for that not to happen. But the biggest thing I'd tell you about coming back next year and giving this another twirl next year is this, two things. It's really hard, and it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. It's really frustrating, and it's really disappointing. But the biggest thing of all is, do you really believe that the opportunity, the spotlight of the world that's on us right now will stay here until next year at this time? Do you really believe such a thing? If you believe that, you're living in a cave. Opportunity does not sit around and wait on you forever. It just doesn't do it. Literally, I'm a business guy that's done tons of stuff, and I know when opportunity's there and you can seize that moment of opportunity, you got to move. We've missed it. We've blown a chance for this state like you can't imagine.
All right, thanks, Todd. Next to Paul Mullen with WCBC.
Good afternoon, Governor. Good afternoon, everyone. Governor, on your Roads to Prosperity tour, you were trying to get a bunch of votes together from the general population. It would seem on this tour that you're going to try to pick off a bunch of delegates somehow in the House of Delegates and try to change their mind. Are you going to challenge them personally during your tour? Are you going to target certain delegates that you believe have been ignorant or irresponsible?
Well, let me tell you, there's three choices in my world. I could just lay down and do nothing. I could just accept what I know is terrible for the state of West Virginia, or I could fight. That's the three choices. Well, I'm not just going to lay down. I really believe that God made me Jim Justice for a reason, and He made me this, so I expected me not to lay down. And the other thing is, I'm not going to just accept something that I know is wrong. I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to fight. And absolutely, if it means challenging, folks that I feel like are doing the wrong stuff, yeah. Absolutely, I'll be right there, and I'll be glad to debate it with anyone at any time. What has been promoted over and over and over is scaring people, the dark of the closet. It is, and Paul, I think the question was Paul, but Paul, just think just this simply. You have all of the tax people of the Department of the state of West Virginia, and they know unequivocally that absolutely my demands are, you got to make this to where everybody across the board ends up with more money in their pocket than they have in their pocket today. After any increase, everybody, all the way across the board. And what do? They come back and say, we have achieved just that, and here's what we've done. We've modeled and modeled and modeled and modeled, and here it is. Now, and basically it's just simply this, Paul, is think of Alpha. Think of the Murray enterprises that are working today? How many thousands of people do they employ? How can they look right at their employees and say, we weren't supportive, we really weren't supportive of every one of you getting a $2,000 pay raise? Now, Murray came on board, you know, and I appreciate them, or the ex-Murray, you know, folks. But how could they look right at their employees and say, no matter what company it was, saying we didn't support this, and Dave Hardy and Mark Mukow are saying every last one of those employees would have been able to take home to their families right at, you know, probably $1,500 to $2,000 of extra money after all their taxes they paid on a higher sales tax or whatever, cigarettes or whatever. How do you look at your employees and say, oh, well, we just decided to poop on you? You know, I don't know how you do that. You know, and so absolutely, Paul, I'll be out there and I'll be talking to all these people. And if it, I mean, Paul, it may take 2 years and it may take 30 days, you know, but I'll be soliciting help from Bill Cole, Woody Thrasher, Mitch Carmichael, all the leadership on the Republican side, probably people that may very well think about running for governor after I'm gone, you know, and I'll be out there working with the Senate and Craig Blair and the leaders of the Senate and everything, and there may be some of them that are looking at the possibilities of running for governor, but I'm not running again. All I'm going to do is be out there telling the people exactly what it is. And at the end of the day, you know, what we may very well happen is you've got a supermajority of Republicans right now that really became a supermajority because when it started, because they were saying the Democrats sat around and didn't do anything to really make change. Well, the Senate's trying. The Senate's really trying, and the House won't even vote. You know, tell me how that works.
All right, thanks, Paul. Governor, I'll turn it back to you to close out this briefing.
No, you know, if we got any other questions, I think we're done. But again, I appreciate you being on. I'm sorry this has drug on and everything, and we're late on the COVID stuff. But you know, what a disappointment. But it doesn't mean that we didn't make progress. It doesn't mean that we don't go forward, and we absolutely go on the road and we convince and talk to the people, and the people will decide who they want as their delegates. You know, and like I said, if it takes a couple of years, the people will decide about these delegates. That's all there is to it. You know, and so with all that and everything, most important issue that we have ever addressed in this state, it's dead, and I thought you needed to know that. And from the standpoint of conduct, I hope to goodness that Joe Jeffries will stand up in front of everybody and say, boy, did I really screw up, and I'm sorry, because these great people that was directed at, Charlie Trump, Senator Clemens, and Senator Baldwin, they're too good of people in our Senate to be having that level of conduct. In fact, that level of conduct is completely, should never be tolerated. Anyway, thank you all a bunch. We're going to do the briefing on COVID in just a second, and thank you. And like I said, big disappointment, but it's over. Thank you.